Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Coral. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than the ones that I usually make. About a year ago, I'd seen a bunch of TikToks of people who were switching their cats over from like the traditional clay litter system into a wood pellet system. And at the time, it was something that really interested me, but I kind of just kept it in the back of my mind until a few months ago when I actually had time to like sit down and do research on how to switch. So I decided I wanted to share the process with YouTube, just in case there was anyone else out there with cats that was interested in also making this change. First, I just want to go through all the reasons that I decided to make this change. The first one obviously being cost. For a traditional box of clay litter, it runs about $14 if you get it at like PetSmart or Petco, and that usually lasts my two cats a little less than a month. Whereas these new wood pellets, you get a 40-pound bag. I got it at Tractor Supply Company and it was $6, and that lasted us about 2 months. Second reason was clay litter is not that great for cats or for humans. If they're licking it off their paws, that can cause them stomach issues. Also, the dust from it kicking up into the air is not good for them to breathe in. It's not good for us to breathe in. So with the wood pellet system, it is completely dust-free. Number 3, clay comes from mining, which is not that great for the environment, whereas these timber pellets, they are coming from leftovers from the wood industry, so it's stuff that was already going to go to waste, so it's not having like any additional environmental impact. And fourth, clay does not mask odors that well. Whereas these pine pellets, they have a really strong pine smell, so they kind of mask everything. The way this whole system works is you have these wood pellets that are made up of like these dehydrated compressed wood fibers, and then as soon as they get wet, they start to expand and disintegrate. I filmed a little clip of what happens when you pour water over them, and it's actually really fun to watch because they look like they're kind of exploding in slow motion. So after the pellets are wet and they start to break apart, they turn into like a sawdust material, which then filters through the box and out through these little holes that are in the bottom of the litter box. This is where you would need a second litter pan to start catching all the sawdust that's coming through the bottom, and then you just scoop the box like you would normally from there. In order to make this switch work for my cats, my fiance and I decided that we were going to build like a wood frame for our current litter box to just sit on top of. It was really important for us, especially because of our male cat, that we kept our current litter box, which is like the top entry kind. And since they don't sell anything designed like that for wood pellets, we kind of just had to build our own. So if you want to skip ahead and not watch the whole process of how we built the frame and like drilled the holes in the bottom of the existing litter box, you can go to whatever timestamp is on the screen right now. So this is what our existing litter box looks like. It's a top entry access one. The cats kind of just jump up on the top and then they climb down in to use it. And this is what a 40-pound bag of pine pellets looks like. Once again, I got this from Tractor Supply Company, and these are the wood pellets themselves. They're pretty hard and they're also small, but they have a really strong pine smell, which I actually enjoy. While we were at Tractor Supply Company, we also bought this cat litter pan that we were going to put underneath the wooden frame to catch all the sawdust. So to build this wood frame, we kind of just used scrap plywood and lumber that was already owned and just lying around, so we didn't have to spend any additional money on materials. Starting out, we measured the plywood that the litter box was going to sit on top of, and then we cut it to size. Then we measured another piece of plywood that was slightly smaller in size, and we planned to cut slots in this one for the sawdust to like filter past. Basically, this was a double layer top for the box to sit on and be recessed a little bit, and that'll be more clear in a couple minutes. We brought one sheet of plywood inside and we centered the litter box on it just to like trace the outline. And at this point in time, both of our cats were very curious what was going on with their stuff. Once we had our outline traced, the next thing we had to do was cut the holes. So for this project, my fiance did pretty much all of the work. I just kind of watched and filmed, so all credit goes to him for its construction. After cutting out the hole, he just sanded all the edges to make them smooth. Next, we grabbed the other piece of plywood and we measured out strips that would be supporting the litter box, and we also left about an inch around the perimeter as like another ledge for the weight of the box to rest on. So all the X's mark out the areas that we're going to get cut out. And after all the holes were cut out, he also just sanded these edges again. At this point, we had our double layers of plywood with holes cut out, so we stacked them together and we connected them with wood glue as well as some screws. Later on, Scott just shaved the ends off and I watched from a really far distance. After that, we grabbed two 2x6 members that were cut to size off camera, and we used wood glue and screws again to connect the top of the frame to these support legs. And this is what it looks like with all the screws in. The last thing we did was add a piece of scrap wood to the back of the frame to act as like a little backstop for when the litter tray slid under. That way it wouldn't accidentally get pushed too far and maybe miss some of the sawdust falling through. And this is what the finished frame looks like. It's got space for the litter tray below. It's got a recessed hole on the top for the box to sit in without being able to like shift around. And it also has wood bands running across, as well as that small ledge to support the weight of the box and the cats when they're in there.
We don't care about the cracked piece of wood. We know it's cracked. We're aware.
Scott finished up by doing another round of sanding of all the edges, and we had talked about possibly staining and sealing it afterwards to make it look a little nicer, but we decided to hold off just to first see if our cats would actually use it instead of wasting more time on it. So the next step was to drill the holes, so we emptied the litter box and we brought it outside to trace the openings in the bottom. We measured what size the pellets were going to be, and then we picked a drill bit that was slightly smaller in size because you don't really want any unused full-size pellets just falling through. At this point, there was no turning back. If the system didn't work, we'd have to just buy a brand new box. This is what it looked like with all of the holes punched through. Finally, it was time to assemble, fill it with wood pellets, and see how our cats reacted.
Wow. Now we have to make sure that we put it with the thing forward, and we'll add a handle. Hold on.
You excited?
You gonna pour some pellets in?
She's already interested.
Hold on, Prim. Nope, don't go in there yet. Can I get in there?
Yeah. Don't do too much.
Is that too much?
Can we push it around pretty easily? Yeah, that should be good.
Both cats were very curious about the change. They spent a lot of time smelling every inch around the box and the frame. And at first, neither of them would put their paws in or touch the pellets. After about an hour, Otter was the first one to put his paws in, but instead of using the box like normal, he just wanted to pull out a pellet to play with it.
That's not a toy.
He just pulled the pellet out.
No, don't eat that.
So after a few hours, Otter did use the box like normal. Prim, on the other hand, she was really hesitant about it. She actually had an accident outside of the box. So I was doing some research on how to help Prim make this transition, and I was reading that the best way to do it was to phase out the clay litter and phase in the wood pellets. So we put a thin layer of clay litter across the tops of the wood pellets, and that kind of introduced her to them. It made her feel more comfortable, and she did go in and use the box like normal. As the week went on, we kind of just used less and less litter until there was nothing but wood pellets remaining. It's now been a little over 2 months since we made the switch, so I just wanted to sit down and give my thoughts on the whole process and a little recap of how it's going. First off, I want to say not every cat is going to make this adjustment. I think that it's important to remember every cat is different. Luckily, both of my cats are still really young, so I think they're more open to changes. But if Prim had not adjusted within that first week, I wouldn't have forced her to make this change. I would have had to go back to the clay litter option. So I think that it's important to keep in mind that this system is not for every single cat. Secondly, both cats still continue to pull wood pellets out of the box just to play with them. I find ones on the floor constantly, and I see them using their little paws and hitting them around, so they actually enjoy playing with it. I don't have any issues with that. The wood pellets, as long as they're not wet, they're still like little hard pieces of wood, so I just pick them up and throw them out. I would much rather have wood pellets around the house than little pieces of clay. 3, there's no more dust whenever you're filling the litter box or when you're emptying it. There's no more like clouds in the sky that you're breathing in. So it just feels a lot cleaner, and also it smells a lot better. I think that the pine smells really nice. Fourth point I want to make, and it's not necessarily a pro, it's just something that I didn't realize in the beginning. Not all the sawdust is automatically going to filter down and through the holes. You kind of have to use the litter scoop and like move things around to get it to fully get through. The fifth and final point that I want to make is this has been so much cheaper. I mean, $6 for a bag that lasts about 2 months versus $14 box that lasts 1 month. It just makes sense. So thanks so much to anyone who decided to watch this video. I hope that it's helpful for someone that's maybe considering making this change for their cats. If anyone has any questions, I would love if you could leave it in the comments and I could answer it for you. If you want to see any other videos that I put up in the future, go ahead and click subscribe. And other than that, have a great day and I'll see you later.